Bussy. And it was a good bounce back game from a North Carolina game where they got torched against North Carolina, which is bound to happen because North Carolina is big time ACC basketball, right? We do football down in the SEC. They do basketball over there in the ACC. And so, yeah, the Mocs got beat up, but they started the season. They opened up the season by taking apart the Vols, a school that they are demonstrably better than by a very large margin. Okay, the Vols just aren't back yet to where they need to be. And the Mocs, they have depth at every position. Justin Toyo is a monster. Okay, like the way that guy operates around the glass is insane. So we will get to our Mocs conversation. We've also got some football to get to. The season, the last game at Neyland, the season ender, senior day. And I want to get to some of the legacies of some seniors for the Vols that are not going to be around any longer. And Butch Jones is talking about even celebrating some juniors who are probably not going to be here next year, right? Like Derek Barnett as a junior, that guy's probably going to the NFL. He's good enough. He's good enough to go to the NFL. And so you've got some guys, he might be able to honor some of those guys as well, even though they're probably not going to stick around for that senior year. And I think that's a great gesture. I think that means a heck of a lot more than that Medal of Freedom that was given out to basically everybody. Because I'm trying to figure out how some of those people got that medal. Okay, there's some people I understand. You got to give it to artists and physicists and athletes and people who do contribute to American society. But I got to say, some of those people, and I'm looking very hard at Ellen DeGeneres because I'm trying to figure out how she got one. Ellen DeGeneres is a great contributor to American society. How? Like, I'm not knocking her. Like, her show's not bad. It's just, it's a daytime talk show. She's funny. You know, really? Okay. All right. I'm not going to fight it too hard. I'm curious as to how that happened. So yeah, the honoring of juniors who will not be around at UTK for their senior year. This is a good gesture, and a gesture that I think means quite an awful lot, is my point. But before we get to those things, let me tell you about Nooga Radio and where you can find us online. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Search Nooga Radio. Nooga Radio, N-O-O-G-A Radio. And go to noogaradio.com for streaming anything live on this station and, of course, in the TuneIn Radio app, which is free in your favorite app store. Search Nooga Radio in the app. Give us a favorite. Press play. You'll have Nooga Radio everywhere you go. That's Nooga Radio and the TuneIn Radio app. Listen like you mean it. Look, I'm looking at some of these weekend matchups, right? Because the SEC, the SEC East specifically, is coming down to two teams, Florida, Tennessee. And I'm not going to lie, Tennessee, I feel like, is going to beat Missouri and beat Missouri pretty badly tomorrow. They're coming off of games where they've scored 50 or close to 50. So there's no reason to believe that they won't handle their business there. And then you've got Senior Day. Like, the game is on Senior Day. So apart from the fact that they've been putting up monster numbers lately, Senior Day, a day to honor the senior players of that team. It's a home game. It's the last home game of the season for the Vols. Yeah, they're going to be fired up and ready to go for that one. My issue comes with Florida. Florida and LSU. Can they beat the Tigers? Can the Gators beat the Tigers? I mean, no. That's my short answer, okay? What Florida has done this season in terms of putting together a very strong team, a very strong defensive team, I got to tell you, a very strong defensive team, especially where the secondary is concerned, I'm very impressed. But even with Darius Geis not being 100%, and even with Leonard Fournette not being 100%, that's an LSU team that can pop off all the time. Those guys are magnificent runners, even when they're not 100% healthy. And Leonard Fournette's been dealing with the high ankle sprain all season long, which ought to tell you everything you need to know about Leonard Fournette. Because Leonard Fournette is operating on a high ankle sprain a season before basically he's leaving to the NFL. He's going directly into the National Football League. And we all agree Leonard Fournette's a first rounder. He's going first. And I would be shocked. No. I would be floored if Leonard Fournette was not somehow in the top 10 being drafted. Top 5 even. He's that good and that talented. You need a guy like that. But here's the thing with Leonard Fournette. He's injured right now. And I'm the kind of guy, and this is why I'm not a professional athlete, I imagine, among very many other reasons. We don't have to go into the whole list. But one of the reasons why I'm not a professional athlete is I'm about preserving myself, especially when it comes to team sports. I'm about self-preservation. Okay? If I am going to try and make it to the NFL and my leg is at the possibility of being destroyed, my leg is injured, that's my future livelihood. And I am not about to ruin my future livelihood on school pride and teamwork. Just can't do it. I'm not about to go down there and on that path and do that. Leonard Fournette is a guy that after that first season, we were like, if Leonard Fournette sat down, a completely healthy Leonard Fournette sat down and did not play a down this season, nobody would have blamed him because he had that much to lose playing college football and pretty much nothing to gain because LSU was do or die time, but I don't know that anybody really thought, oh, this is LSU's year to go to a national title. And if a national title is not what you have to gain, what are you doing? Take that seat. But Leonard Fournette did not take that seat. He showed a lot of mettle. He showed a lot of mental fortitude. And he went out there and played on a high ankle sprain. Now, how do you heal a high ankle sprain? You don't. You let your body heal the high ankle sprain. The only way to heal a high ankle sprain is to not play on it. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's playing on it because he has no choice. I mean, I sit down. I don't think anybody blames Leonard Fournette if Leonard Fournette decides, you know what, I'm about to go into the NFL. I have a high ankle sprain. There's nothing we can do to treat this or rehab this. The only thing that heals this anyway is rest. And Leonard Fournette is out there playing on something that can only be treated by not playing on it, which is crazy. Speaks to a lot about Leonard Fournette and the character of that guy, but it also speaks to the mentality that it takes to get to the next level. And if you're an NFL scout and you're looking at that, I mean, there's no way you don't fall in love with that. But also, because of that, Florida has no chance of beating LSU. None whatsoever. Because they've got two heavyweight punchers at the running back position. And while Florida may be good in their secondary defensively, they're okay against the run. You can run on Florida, as Arkansas proved. Arkansas Arkansas looked like Arkansas of 2014, the way they were running on Florida. I mean, they were passing on Florida too, but that's what happens when you start to get that run going is now we have to bring extra guys up to stop the run. And oh, look, that play action fake starts to work like magic. Doesn't hurt that they had Arkansas does Austin Allen, who, as I remind you near daily, Austin Allen is the truth. Austin Allen is that dude. You're listening to Nooga Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Tennessee has got to beat Missouri. Then they've got to beat Vandy in Vandy. And that's the game that worries me. Tennessee at home on senior day, I'm not worried. Against Missouri, I'm not worried. Tennessee in Nashville against Vanderbilt. For some reason, that bothers me. It really does. And it could be ever since the close game to Appalachian State. Tennessee, I mean, Tennessee has basically been exposed as a team that defensively, if you have the right players in the right spots, you can scheme on them. You can get to Josh Dobbs. You can take away his options. Now, you need the right pieces, right? Like, not just anybody can go out there and do it. Appalachian State has a lot of very highly touted recruits. They had a lot of 4-star, 5-star guys at the right positions, which is like one of the top pieces in the anatomy of an upset, is having those right guys in those right positions. And then on top of that, going out there and playing your tail off. And then the other team comes out and they give you some of their mistakes. And that's what Tennessee did. Tennessee gave some mistakes to App State. And App State played their tail off and had those key 5-star, 4-star recruits at the right positions. Made life difficult for Tennessee all night long. I mean, and Vanderbilt is better than Appalachian State. All right, let's not be disrespectful, right? Vanderbilt is better than Appalachian State. They may not be the best, but they are better. All right, so if you're looking at that, and then defensively, Vanderbilt is definitely better than Appalachian State. I mean, you can make some arguments for offense, but defensively, they certainly are better. And their special teams has this knack for scoring points. And if that's going to be the case, then you're not safe if you're Tennessee. Right? Tennessee is like somehow finding a way to just disregard the advice that everyone seems to have. You would have advised Tennessee, Butch Jones, all of those players, whatever it takes, do not find yourself in a shootout with Kentucky. They got into a shootout with Kentucky. A fact that is only being forgotten because they won the game against Kentucky. But make no mistake that that's a mistake. Ending up in a shootout with Kentucky is the last place you want to be. You're going to end up in a hideous low-scoring game with Vanderbilt. You're going to beat Georgia. You're going to be scratching your head at the end of that one, wondering what the heck happened. Right? Like, and Tennessee is perfectly capable of making just the weirdest, oddest mistakes that Vanderbilt could be up in a game that they have no business being up in. Right? Like, that's something of note. You're listening to Nooga Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. And one more thing about Tennessee, because like Tennessee, first off, if we talk, let's zoom out from Tennessee for a little bit. Let's just look at the planet Earth, right? Let's just go all the way out in the lens here. Not just Tennessee, not just the state of Tennessee, not just America, just Earth. Can we all acknowledge that the year 2016 has been an awful year? Just a bad year in general. Okay? Let's put politics in the election aside for a second, because if Trump was your guy, then I imagine that didn't go terribly for you. But 2016 overall has been absolutely ridiculous. When you talk about the people who died, we lost David Bowie. We lost Prince. We lost Phife Dawg. When you talk about that, 2016 was awful just by itself. We got 2016, bad year for football for whatever reason, right? Like the ratings are just down for no reason. 2016, in terms of, you know, the amount of disasters that we've had and big attacks that have happened in places like Nice and in Orlando. I mean, it's just been an awful year. 2016 has been an awful year. Now you take that microscope and you zoom in on the Vols, because if you average it out, not everybody had an awful 2016. Some people had a more awful 2016 than others, right? Like if you are a Democrat, it's a worse 2016 for you than if you're a Republican. Or so you feel like. So it's not equal. If you zoom in on the Tennessee Volunteers, 2016 hasn't just been bad. It's been brutal, right? First off, you start 5-0. And then you have the 3 losses, and you switch from the team of destiny to whatever you are now, because 3 losses are not as fun as 1 loss or no losses, right? Then Jalen Hurd decides to leave. Decides to transfer away from Tennessee midseason. A lot of people got angry about that. I didn't. I didn't really care. He's proving not to be the best fit for this iteration of the Vols team anyway. Jalen Hurd is, shall we say, a guy who is, he's coming off in the media anyway as particularly temperamental, and he's everything that people don't like about modern day college football and people don't like about millennials, which I just don't understand that. But that's a conversation for possibly later in the show. But people are not a fan of how he decided to leave the team. And yet here's another player, another running back even, leaving the Tennessee Volunteers in a similar fashion. It was first reported by John Bryce of Go Vols 24/7 that Rhiannon, I'm going to butcher this poor guy's name. I see a lot of N's in here, and I'm already butchering the poor guy's name. Rhiannon Potke is the writer from the Knoxville News Sentinel, who is basically saying Jeremy Lewis, a freshman running back, is transferring out of Tennessee. And Lewis is leaving the program early. Jalen Hurd is already leaving. And Alvin Kamara might try and make it to the NFL. So you're Tennessee, you're losing a lot of talent. You're losing a lot of talent. And it only reminds me of so, like, you might hear the stories of people just having the worst times or weeks of their lives. I remember I talked to a guy on Reddit one time, and he was having the worst time of his life because he lost his job. Then his girlfriend broke up with him. Like, they were living together. She broke up with him and then moved out. And then because she was moving out and he had no job, his landlord was like, look, I might have to evict you. You're not paying rent. And he was trying to find a job, and it all happened in a week. That's the part that makes that scary to me, is that whole thing happened in a week, which is crazy to me. But, like, that's how it feels if you're a Vols fan on that level, right? Like, you have 3 running backs that you feel like these guys are impact players, can be making impact this year, maybe you hope beyond. Jalen Hurd transfers away. Alvin Kamara does really well, suffers some injuries this season in key games. Because I can imagine a situation where Alvin Kamara is playing in that South Carolina game and possibly the Vols don't lose to South Carolina. right? But you don't have Kamara. So you don't have the option of using the guy who has proven himself to be the best back in your system against South Carolina, who has been sneaky good defensively. You're losing, and then you're losing another running back, a freshman, a guy who is supposed to probably be carrying that torch on into the future. How does this happen? And it's happening like week after week after week, all in one season. And this is before the season, you had Tennessee and the Title IX accusations that started with the season. I believe that stuff has been settled, but like that was the way the season started. We were in off season with that stuff. And the only reason why that's not a bigger deal is because literally Baylor happened. Baylor was the worst version of the thing you were going through. And that's the only reason why we didn't talk about you. We were talking about them so much. Because, my God, how does that happen? Which is another thing that you can chalk up to the badness of 2016. So you're Tennessee. This is the way that you started the season. Your actual football season began with a lot of promise, then crumbled to pieces. And now you're vying with Florida. You don't control your own destiny to win the SEC East, which we all know is terrible. This has not been a great run, and like this is just another thing happening to you. This is your girlfriend dumping you, your boss firing you, and your landlord evicting you, all in 1 week. You're listening to Nooga Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We've got the Community Corner and the Mox Moment coming up next. Stick around, why don't you?
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Is your career taking you where you want to go? If not, talk to Covenant Group Insurance, especially if you like helping people. Call and learn how you can work for yourself, but not by yourself. Intense but free training, plus a fantastic lead program, plus office support equals your success, your prosperity. Gross at least $75,000 your first year selling insurance. Call Steve or Jada for a confidential interview. That's 855-8484. Maybe the most important call you'll make all year.
And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field lines failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. It happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
Looking for a dream home, or maybe you're just a first-time home buyer? Let an agent get you started today on your house search. If you're a real estate agent looking for a change, see what Exit can do for you. The agents at Exit Realty Scenic City are confident they can sell your house. They can do it in 99 days or less. If no one works harder for you than agents at Exit Realty Scenic City, licensed in Tennessee and Georgia. Exit sells quickly all types of commercial and residential properties and vacant land. Looking for a dream home, or maybe you're just a first-time home buyer? Let an agent get you started today on your house search. If you're a real estate agent looking for a change, see what Exit can do for you. Training, technology, branding, culture, and financial freedom. Again, Exit Realty Scenic City. Call 423-551-EXIT to learn more. Call 423-551-EXIT and learn more.
Terms and restrictions may apply.
Cash Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash when you sell gold, silver, diamonds, rings, and jewelry. Sell Rick your precious metals today and lock in your price. Hey, Rick Davis will trade your cash for shiny, brilliant, and heavy gold. Gold cheaper now by $100 an ounce. Join the Rick Davis Silver Bonanza too. Prices so low, the Lone Ranger is bound to gallop in, Kimosabi.
Hey-ho, silver, away!
The markets are changing, so buy now. Cash, 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 and more cash for your silver and gold, gold, gold. Rick Davis, 5301 Brainerd Road. That's 5301 Brainerd Road. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Oh, and cash, cash, cash. You know where it is.
Hey-ho, silver, away! Nooga Radio News, I'm Russell Stroud. A 17-year-old boy was on his way to school on his bicycle when he was hit while crossing a 5-lane highway. The driver said she couldn't see him until he was right in front of her, couldn't avoid hitting him. She braked and swerved, but it was too late. His twisted body was found in the middle lane. Police took him to the hospital, but it was too late. He died. 2 young children found unconscious at the bottom of a swimming pool in Bradley County. Police say they wandered away from their home and fell inside, where they almost drowned. They were airlifted to the hospital, where they're now recovering. The youngest has said words, while the oldest is moving. This is a good sign. No charges are being pressed. The Hamilton County Commission, just like the City Council, is now considering regulation on short-term rentals. They're wanting to add teeth to state regulations, which are already in existence. This would affect users of Airbnb. You, too, can make a child's dream come true. Just go to the Chick-fil-A, pick out a tag on the Christmas tree, buy some presents, and make a child's dream come true. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Nooga Radio News.
Expect mostly clear skies to continue through your nighttime. Cool again overnight, lows 40 to 43. For Friday, lots of sunshine, still a little hazy, but very warm and dry. Highs upper 70s. Tomorrow night, more clouds. Could see a shower or two early Saturday morning, then breezy, colder for the weekend. Check out JCPenney and stack on the holiday savings and save 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon on select items throughout the store. That's getting your pennies worth at JCPenney. And I'm Sports Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Martin Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops a right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocked him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk 1240. The voice of NASCAR.
You're listening to Nooga Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. It is now time for the still yet jingleless Community Corner. And on the phone with us is the host of the Community Corner, Jay Billinger. So glad to have you on. This is an odd way for you to be on the show, as this is your corner. But here's the thing: like I wanted to learn a little bit more about you, because you host the Community Corner. We learn all kinds of things about all kinds of people running all kinds of fantastic organizations in and around Chattanooga, but we don't know anything about you. So let's get to know you a little bit. Let's just jump into it. What got you on this path? What led you to this place where you are now hosting a Community Corner on a radio station?
That is the most broad question of all time. It's like asking, what is life?
No, I mean, like, just how did it start? Like, if you got here, but like, where did you begin with that? And yeah, I want the long-winded, not the Cliff Notes version. I want the long-winded answer, the radio gas bag answer.
It's like 20 plus years of history. But I would like to say one thing you do need to know about me is I keep waiting for this jingle that clearly is still on its way.
Okay.
All I want for Christmas is our Community Corner jingle. Cool. So the beginning of the story, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I guess I could start at my literal beginning. I definitely grew up in bright and sunny Southern California. And that was interesting because this is clearly not Southern California. We are residing in the greater regions of the Chattanooga, Tennessee area, which I absolutely love. Also, I should also tell you that I am in Walmart right now. I'm actually preparing for a presentation that I am doing with my mentor, Dr. Kathy Purnell, this weekend at the North American Christian Social Work Conference in Cincinnati, Ohio. And that is all part of the journey. Yeah, I don't even know where to start, Keon. Can you ask a specific question?
Yeah, okay. Where are you from?
From California. I am a Cali girl through and through. I guess I should say I grew up with a twin sister. We were adopted, and so that was actually a miracle in and of itself, because the way that came to fruition, there were actually no, like, we can't find the documents anywhere. We have been looking for it. I've been actually trying to find my birth family. No dice. It's actually pretty cool. It's kind of creepy. And so growing up in California, adopted a twin, we had a really cool experience because my parents are actually immigrants from the Caribbean islands. And so kind of growing up in that demographic was interesting, you know, being in an American household, but American immigrant, I guess I should say. And I think that really kind of crafted my mind and my picture of understanding what it is to relate to people and really try to understand where people are coming from their level, if that makes any sense.
That does.
So I would say definitely that experience, or the beginning of those experiences, really kind of challenged me to open my mind a little bit, you know. I went to a very private Christian school, very small. There was like maybe 9 of us in my first and second grade class. They were combined because there wasn't a whole lot of teachers, because it was a very small private school. Obviously, there wasn't public funding or anything like that. So it was really interesting because having that experience, it was another perspective, another layer. There were so many different people who were there from different backgrounds, whether that be socioeconomic backgrounds, racial backgrounds, historical backgrounds. I mean, I really just had a really great, diverse experience during that time in Southern California at San Antonio Christian School. And from there, I think my earliest memory of like beginning this process of like community organization, I was in like 4th grade, and I pretty much told the class I was going to be 4th grade class president. And they agreed, and they let it happen. And that was the beginning. Ever since then, I've held some sort of position where I was kind of brokering resources to people in the ways that they needed it. And yeah, like, it's just been really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. So the first moment that you said you had the notion that you would be sort of involved in community organization was when you were running for class president. When?
I mean, I didn't run for it. I just decided.
You just decided, and then you just got it, which sounds a little bit like a dictatorship, but we won't go down that path. This is Jay Billingy, the host of the very community corner that you are listening to. We're trying to learn a little bit more about her, put her on the other side of the microphone this week. And so the second moment that you knew this was something that you were going to be doing, being involved in the community and helping others, was when?
Man, there's so many. I think there was a time, okay, so I started going to this summer camp. It was Pine Springs Ranch Christian Youth Camp up in Mountain Center, California. Beautiful, beautiful place. And so I went there for several years, maybe 7, maybe 8 years as a camper. And then I was about 15, and I was approached by the girls director at the time. And she was speaking to my sister and I, and she was telling us, wow, you girls are really, no, we must have been 14 at that time. She was like, you girls are really responsible, very mature. You know, we'd like to have you come back as staff. So that next year, because my parents had divorced, and there was just a lot of single parent raising and a lot of, support that needed to be had within the family. You know, being raised by a single parent, my mother is amazing. She made so many sacrifices. And so when the opportunity came for me to kind of get away for the whole summer and begin working and working in a way where I could be giving back to the youth that I had been. I thought that was really cool. So that next summer, they had a program where if you weren't eligible to work yet, according to the labor laws, you could still kind of come and volunteer and shadow for the whole summer. And it was called their counselor and training program. So I ended up going that year, and for whatever reason, I don't know, but the individuals that were working there as staff just really didn't get their purpose, shall we say. So myself, my sister, and two of the other CITs, the counselors in training, ended up actually becoming like the head counselors and the lead counselors, and directing some of the departments, which again wasn't the original plan. So I had a cabin that was a nightmare. Again, very interestingly, it was a diverse cabin. I had some, I believe they were Korean exchange students. I had two young ladies from a Spanish background. I had two young ladies that were foster children. I mean, when I tell you that the demographics of that cabin were just very diverse, and that's not super typical, especially in this type of setting. But somehow, me, the young CIT, ended up with this cabin, and I remember these girls would not get along. I mean, they were fighting tooth and nail for everything. Time to get up. I don't want to get up. Fight would ensue. Time to go shower. Don't want to shower. Fight would ensue. We had morning duties. I don't want to do this. Fighting. So, write about it, and I remember just thinking, what these girls need is just the opportunity to interact and be loved, So we went out in the stars, and I had them walk in the dark. I mean, this is pitch black. This is in the mountains. They have lights, but this is not like a populated area. This is in the top of the mountains. So we're walking, and they're freaking out, and it was great because every time they would stop working together, I would take them back to the beginning of the path, and we would walk back. Well, after they finally became compliant, because everyone was tired, it was late, it was time for bed, and it was really dark, and everyone was a little afraid, we stopped by our teepees. The camp is kind of, it's in a grounds where it's Indian themed, so there were some teepees, and we stopped and we looked up at the stars, and we kind of just talked about how we all could represent a star, and without all of us together, then we wouldn't be able to shine as brightly. And I think it was that moment that I knew for sure that this was my calling. This is what I was supposed to do.
That is like a scene out of a Disney movie about togetherness. This is Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio. We're talking to Jay Billingy, the host of this very same Community Corner that I am now helming. So that was the moment that you realized that this was for you. And we're coming up to the end of this thing here, but one last question. What has your journey in Chattanooga been like? Because you started off in California. This is a very different place from California, as anybody who's been to both places can tell you. But what's your journey out here been like?
Well, in short, I had planned to go to UCLA, actually. That was my goal, and I was on track. And in short, my mother had an experience with bullets. And she decided that I would come here to Tennessee to her alma mater, which was Southern Adventist University. And so, without much say for me, we ended up coming out here. I came out here, my sister went up to a school in Michigan. So it was very different. And so I finished my bachelor's in social work, and that was a process. I actually started off as a nurse, or studying nursing. Did well in the sciences, everything. I was an EMT in high school, and so I thought I was going to do the medical route. Well, I ended up switching to social work, went back to that camp that summer. The camp had a terrible fire. I mean, the most crazy emergency situation ever. And then I ended up coming back for my master's in emergency management and trauma, finished that, and then I started working and doing in-home services. So I have been in homes all over. It's not even Chattanooga, Athens, Daisy, gone up to Knoxville area, then down to Georgia area, Ringgold, Dayton, man, just all over the place, all over this greater Tennessee region. And just being in the homes of people, from usually lower income, but from many different walks of life, I can definitely say, if anything can enhance one's mind to understanding how a person is. It's living in their home, you know. And I can't say living per se, but just going, you know, 3 times a week to these homes all over, just seeing from the ghettos to some of the nicer areas. And when people need help, people need help. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you sound like or what language you speak. Help is help. Love is love. And I just love knowing that making a difference in a person's life, you know, doesn't matter what color you are as long as your blood is red.
That's very, very deep insight. And that's why you're the host of the Community Corner and a community engagement specialist here at Nooga Radio. So
I guess so. I mean, definitely a different experience than I thought it would ever be, but it's been a blessing and it's been exciting. And it's been really cool to get to know so many different people through the community, to the community. And working with you, Keon, and all the staff at Hot News, fantastic people. And I can't say that I'm anything short of blessed.
Well, I mean, it's been a pleasure working with you as well. And I'm glad that this is a segment here on the show because I feel like I'm like most sports fans. So you get lost up in the sports and the scores and the games and fantasy and everything else. And you just need that step back to find that bit of perspective for, okay, like this doesn't matter as much people without the community. And so I'm glad that I've been able to work with you on that, and be back at it next week with another guest, I believe.
No, next week is Thanksgiving.
Next week is Thanksgiving, so the week after there will be no Community Corner or Clutch next week because there it is Thanksgiving.
Yes, we're going to take time to give thanks, and for me, just continue what we've been doing today. Just being grateful and reflecting and enjoying. And hopefully everybody finds a meal, share a meal, give a meal, enjoy your meal.
Absolutely.
Those are my words.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us here on the show today. Next time that you're on, you'll be in the captain's seat.
It's definitely different from this side. I will definitely say that. Thanks for taking it easy on me.
Yeah, no problem. All right, bye. You can't take out your teammates, man. You can't. What am I, landing heavy punches? This isn't investigative journalism. I mean, we can do that. What are your secrets? We don't have to go there, but I'm capable. I'm capable of going there, but we don't need to go there. Jay does a really great job with the Community Corner, and it wouldn't be possible at all without her. She schedules all of the guests, the wonderful people that come on the show and explain what's happening in the greater Chattanooga area in the community. So let's talk in brief here in the Mox moment, because I want to talk about Chattanooga football, the game that I have been hyping for so long that it almost feels like I've overdone it. Chattanooga versus Alabama, a game where I feel like we know the outcome of this game. We know Alabama's the clear favorite. I don't know exactly. Let me look at it here. Vegas is got the line, or did they not even bother to give us a line? The spread has not even been listed on ESPN.com. The game is a lopsided matchup, right? But ESPN, because they are connected, you can connect to Facebook on ESPN. And nothing is worse on the internet than a YouTube argument. But like immediately after a YouTube argument is a Facebook argument in terms of quality of the thing that is happening. Now, very occasionally, you will have that smart friend that shows up, writes a novel, and then leaves. But typically, you have nothing but blithering going on, and this is no exception. This is a Facebook argument brought to ESPN.com. And first off, I learned a few things from reading some of these arguments, which I've never read before, but suddenly want to read much more of. One, Bama fans are every bit as arrogant as I have been saying on this show. It's worse on the internet. Secondly, little delusional there, Bama fans. Just a little bit delusional. That you actually think that scheduling this game against the Mocs is you playing a quality opponent. Now understand, the Mocs are a quality opponent, They play in a lower division than you. They are an FCS school. They are quality in the FCS. You're an FBS school. You're bigger. Okay? And you're not just bigger. You're the number one school in the FBS. So this is a problem. This tradition that Bama has of scheduling a weaker opponent right before the Iron Bowl has got to stop. And I heard somebody say, oh, well, we do it as a reaction to Auburn because they schedule their bye week just to get an advantage. So why don't you both have your bye week there? Because that's a better solution than what we've got going on here, which is you playing football against an opponent where you are Goliath. And you're not just Goliath, you're Goliath that wins 99% of the time. 99% of the time. The ESPN matchup predictor, which is according to ESPN's Football Power Index, which rates a bunch of numbers that I don't care to go into right now, mostly because I myself do not understand them, gives Alabama a 99.4% chance of beating the Mocs. 99.4. Yeah, this one's going to get ugly. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that the Mocs are going to play great football, and they're going to play to the best of their abilities. They're a 2-loss football team, like a top team in their conference, 8-2, but this is not a good matchup. And I'm reading some of these comments, and the number one comment that just made me so angry is from some person named Tyler out in California, Loma Linda, California. He said, "Oh, to be a Bama fan, where all the hate is drowned out by the W's endlessly accumulating. And it's not just W's, but the NCs that keep racking it up. All an outsider can do now is play the lawyer and cast doubt on the evidence by claiming and hoping, really, the rest of the SEC is just so bad, it makes them look good. But Bama is the real deal. Can we just get one token loss, though? Everybody else is doing it. Get out. Get out. I don't want you. I don't want you on my internet anymore. I don't want you to share this space where all of our computers are connected. I don't want to share it with you. I barely want to share the oxygen that we all share together, but I don't get a choice on that one either. I saw another one here. This is by some guy named Mike. Plenty of trolls on here bashing Bama. Mocs are 8-2, and one loss is to a 10-0 team. So they're probably not too bad. This started when Auburn scheduled their bye week before the Iron Bowl several years ago to gain an edge. Anyway, OSU plays a 3-7 team. Wisconsin plays a 3-7 team. Michigan plays a 5-5 team. And as for Michigan and Clemson, they shouldn't even be able to smell the top four after losing to unranked teams. Except they lost to unranked teams in the FBS on their same level. You're going to play a smaller school by an order of several magnitudes. Alabama, why? It's one thing to play the game and feel like this is a great idea. It's something else different entirely to pretend like this is actually fair. You're listening to Nooga Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. See you all next week.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.